This is my Airstream tiny house. Today, I'm gonna show you guys how I built it. I'm gonna list every single material and tell you how much it costs. I'm really excited to show you guys the inside of it. It all started about 1.5 years ago. I really wanted to build a tiny house. I chose to use a 1975 Airstream International land yacht, a 31-foot trailer tongue to bumper, about 28 feet inside. I love it because it's American, it's iconic. I love the shape of it. I love crawling into the door and being in kind of a little cave. That just brings out kind of my inner child. It's just been so much fun to build and so much fun to enjoy. Let's go ahead and show you guys the inside. Meow. Over here, we have a nice queen bed. We've got our mini split. It's mounted on the tongue outside. I'll show you that in just a minute. Blows hot and cold air. This is a 12,000 BTU unit. If I had it to do over, I'd go with a 24,000 BTU unit just to get it a little bit cooler during the summer and a little bit hotter, especially during the winter here in Utah. If I had this to do over again, I'd probably have a futon or something like that that goes from couch and pulls out into a queen size bed. It would open it up a little bit more in here. In a tiny house, you're working with pretty limited space. I just feel like a sofa bed would have made a lot more sense. We've got the original vintage 8-track and radio, which actually still works, and it plays through these speakers that are original right there, and then there's 2 back here, which is fun. You can be cooking, bumping to music, or laying in bed, just chilling out. It's a lot of fun. Check out these really cool windows up here above the bed. That's really dirty. I really need to clean this. And that one has a piece of insulation. A lot of times on vehicles, and especially trailers, and in this case, our Airstream tiny house, we use this Reflectix type material just to insulate a little better. It works pretty good. We'll go ahead and tuck this under the bed for now. Just like when I cleaned my room when I was a teenager. Sorry, Mom. It all went under my bed. You could stargaze at night if we didn't have a lean-to covering the whole Airstream. I will also go over how much it costs to build this entire space, meaning the lean-to that leans against our shop, as well as the surrounding fencing and the big deck outside. I'll tell you right now, it's probably a lot cheaper than you think. We got a lot of stuff for free and we repurpose a ton of materials. From the entrance of the Airstream, check out our little sconce lights. We walk back here and immediately you see the kitchen. A lot of this I actually didn't gut. This wall, these cabinets, I did make these doors and put them on little hinges and riveted them in there. But none of these cabinets were redone. The vent for the fridge even is still there. This is where the original fridge would have gone. This is the little pantry. This is original. I did add these little poles. So all that's original. We've got some secret storage up here. That's all original as well. The breaker box is actually original, and it's right here. And I did run some wires to it that are a little heavier duty just to run to the front of the trailer with the mini split so that we can run the 110 volt mini split efficiently and safely. Big boy. Now, you're not gonna believe this, but all of these cabinets were free. I'm getting ahead of myself because we're gonna break down the cost towards the end of the video. We've got a big old sink. We have this induction cooktop, which has worked really good. We've got storage above. This wall right here is original. And it has a sliding door, which I think is so cool. This right here fit perfectly over the wheel well. This is actually a TV stand. I think that it just makes the perfect little compartment. We've had plants on it. The wheel well is just such a big intrusion. It sticks out, well, as far as you can see right there. And so this didn't take up too much more space. You can see the feet right here. I feel like it gives it kind of a floating effect. Here is a pretty rare washer and dryer. Rare as in hard to find secondhand. This is an LG 110 volt washer dryer. It didn't need any special wiring or anything. Just like the mini split, we made sure that we didn't have any 220 volt appliances. That will wash your clothes and then it will dry them as well. I plumbed that in. It was pretty simple. Just a drain, hot water, and a cold water supply line. Next up, I think you're really gonna like it. It's the bathroom. When we got the Airstream, it was, it had no bathroom. Heck, there wasn't even a floor back here. It had completely rotted away. The previous owner had ripped most of it out. We've got a light switch that I put right here, special for the bathroom. as well as a sconce light. Here's the sliding door I was talking about. Hello! This is the original 1975 mirror that came on the Airstream. I thought that was pretty neat. Inside of the bathroom here, we've got one closet here, which is original, minus this cabinet pull. These latches make it so that your door doesn't open up as you're flying down the road. We've got a towel rack, a bunch of Amazon packages that we're saving to give to our kids for Christmas and stuff like that. I wired the inverter to a switch right here. Now, the only thing that runs off the inverter, interestingly enough, are two little lights above the bed that are up in there, as well as the 8-track and the radio. Everything else runs off of shore power or 110 volts. We got some water lines in here. Some PEX is what I used to run the hot and cold waters. And then I used the black ABS plastic for all my drains. It even has this clothes rack here, so you can fit a lot of clothes in there. On the other side, we have a 10-gallon Ream water heater, hot and cold water, and we made sure to plumb in this drain just in case things got too hot and it blew out. We didn't want it filling up the Airstream, so that actually shoots straight down to the bottom of the trailer. Again, this water heater runs on 110 volts, so it's just a standard plug. Now here's one of my favorite parts of the entire build. That's right, the toilet. Ah, yeah. You really can't beat a residential toilet. It just feels right. And here's another original mirror from 1975. Pretty cool. There's a towel rack because that's basically the only place I could think of to put it. Oh man, that toilet sure feels nice. Right here, we've got this nice big window that looks out at some fencing. Here's a pretty neat little sink. You can see where the drain's going out and behind the scenes on the shower. And you won't believe it, but I built the entire shower surround by this material that you can get at Home Depot for about 25 bucks a sheet. I basically just had to cut it to the contour of the trailer and stuck it in there with some caulk. This is a 32-inch by 32-inch shower base. Another one of my favorite parts about this build is that I can actually get inside of here, and if I tilt this up, I don't know if I've ever gotten in here since I finished it, I can stand up straight inside the shower, which is a big deal. Now granted, I'm a little under 6 feet, maybe not that impressive, but the rainfall shower head's sure nice. We've got this one, this nifty little guy. Oh boy, quite the water pressure. Goodness. Okay, that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for taking the little mini tour. Now, if you're interested in the price, here's a complete breakdown of all the materials and everything we used to build this Airstream tiny house. All right, you guys, let's talk cost. Where did my paper go? Oh my gosh. Where did it go? That better not be it. No, that's old. Oh my heck. What the? What are you doing up there? What are you doing? Hobbs really likes the tiny house, I guess. Yes. Meow. So we've got a 3-inch drain running to the shop, and that drops into our sewer. We've got a 3/4-inch PEX supply line, and then we've got some wires coming out protected. And that is for the water heater. Everything else just plugs straight into the trailer and hooks up to the original fuse box. Now I did have to wire that to 220 volts, but it wasn't too bad. The foundation of our Airstream was free because it's just sitting on some free cinder blocks, as well as some cement blocks that are solid and wood. That's underneath the axles, under the front of the trailer, and under the rear, and along the frame as well. You might think it's a little sketchy, but most mobile homes are set up this way. I really wish I had that flipping paper. I had it in my back pocket. Doesn't help that there's papers all over my shoot. That paper really does have all the prices and everything. Shoot. Where would I put that? Oh man, where did I put you? Oh, there it is! Found it! I dropped it in the bathroom, of course. All right. Now, when I first saw this trailer, it was on a website called Copart, where they auction off salvage vehicles for the most part. Whoa! Flood damage vehicles. They auction off vehicles that people have had in car accidents. And this was reportedly a flood vehicle. The whole bathroom had taken on water, and they ripped it all out, probably to do a bid on it. And insurance probably deemed it totaled. And we got it for a good deal because it hit the auction site. Now, I almost didn't buy this trailer. I was looking on Copart, and I'll admit, I've got a little bit of a problem when it comes to Copart and bidding on vehicles. This one caught my eye because it's a big silver Twinkie, the silver bullet. I just fell in love as soon as I saw it. And the bid was like 50 bucks. And that's what always gets me. The bid says 50 bucks, and then they get bid up to thousands, sometimes tens of thousands of dollars. Well, I bid this one up to $4,050. And I said, that's it. I'm not bidding a penny above $4,050. And I thought, gee, what if someone bids it up to $4,000? Well, I'm going to add the extra 50 bucks just in case that was their limit. And do you know what happened? My wife and I went to Home Depot with our sons, Jack and Dean. And when we got out of the car, I had bid $4,050. And I told her, the auction ends in about 10 minutes. And I said, I'm not going to look at it. I'm not going to bid it up because otherwise I'll sit there and I'll go, well, 4,050. What's another, 100 bucks? What's another 200 bucks? And it'll turn into this problem financially. I went into Home Depot and I didn't look at my screen again. I didn't open up the app. I remember I was in the bathroom sitting on a toilet in Home Depot and I looked and I checked Copart. And I came out of that bathroom, the owner of a 1975 Airstream. And boy, was I proud to tell my wife. I told her, Maddie, we won the auction. We won the Airstream. And she goes, did we win it or are we paying for it? And I go, well, now this Airstream was not here in Utah. Matter of fact, it wasn't even close. This Airstream was in Mobile, Alabama, which is pretty far. I considered flying to Mobile, Alabama, renting a U-Haul truck and towing it home myself. But because of time constraints and budget and practicality issues, I ended up just listing pictures of this on U-Haul, which is an app where basically hotshot truckers, they bid on how much they would charge to deliver something from one place to another. Point A, Mobile, Alabama. Point B, Harriman, Utah, where we're at right now. Someone picked up the listing and they said, I can do that job. And it cost us about $1,200 to get it shipped from Mobile, Alabama here to Harriman, Utah. Now, when they arrived, it was an older couple and he was a vet and he had a really nice white diesel Ford F-350. And I asked him, where are you guys sleeping tonight? Do you just, hot shot all the way to the destination and then hot shot all the way back? Are you picking up another load? And he goes, no, we're just going to sleep in the truck. And so I did give him a $300 tip And I told them, go ahead and, you know, get a hotel or something for the night. And they were real grateful for that because, man, that was quite the drive they made. After we patched up all the subfloor spots that had rotten through, like the entryway of the door where you see a lot of water traffic as you step in and out, and the section in the back that was bathroom that was completely gone, as well as a couple spots up front in common places that saw water intrusion on these old Airstreams. We picked a paint color that was white. I don't remember the paint color name, but Chip and Joanna Gaines from that one house show where they flip houses or renovate them or whatever, it's the paint that she really likes. So I forget what that is, but we got a VHB, a very high bond primer from Sherwin-Williams, and then we went with her favorite white. We also went with her favorite black for the kitchen cabinets. So whatever those are, you can Google them. They're the ones that she uses the most. Joanna Gaines, she was an HGTV, you know, house flipper character. That's what we used. And the paint turned out really good. And it's been very durable so far. Now, when it was all finished, we scooted it into this spot. And then I built the lean-to, and then the deck, and then I enclosed this whole area with fencing. And I thought to myself, we'd be putting it on Airbnb, $100 a night. And if it rented 10 nights out of the month, well, that'd be $1,000. I thought that was gonna be awesome. But it turned out short-term rentals are illegal here in our city, and that's too bad. But it's the reality that I have to cope with, and that's okay. We have had someone live in it, and that was pretty fun. I think she really enjoyed it. It was someone who moved here to Utah, and she was kind of getting her feet on the ground here and decided to live in this for a little while, and it was really awesome. She's since moved on into a house, and I wish the best for her. If you're watching this, I'm surprised because we don't have, you know, too many people watching our videos. She really enjoyed it. She kind of told us some of the good things, some of the bad things. Some pipes froze in the winter. The mini split didn't perform as well as we expected. We learned a lot from that. Like I had said before, if I had it to do over again, I would get a bigger mini split system, like a 24,000 BTU system. The fact of the matter is, even if we would have gutted the inside shell, these walls are only about, well, 1.5 inches thick at best. And it's just not much insulation at all, especially with all these big, beautiful windows. It just did not keep temperature like we thought it would. So now what do we use it for? Well, the kids and I come here and play. My wife and I hang out in it. It's just a really great place to come and stay. We live on a busy road here in Harriman, Utah. And to tell you the truth, this is sort of like a little escape from reality. A little escape from all the noise and all the hustle and bustle. I know that sounds silly, kind of like a little playhouse or a big playhouse where we can come and enjoy a campfire, roast some marshmallows. I'm running out of daylight, so I'm gonna go ahead and break down the cost of the outside, of the fencing, the deck, the lean-to, and this whole surrounding area so that you guys have a little bit of an idea of what this costs. We got the deck material for a really good deal. This is some sort of ABS plastic or something like that. To tell you the truth, I don't know what it's made out of, but it sure feels nice. And it's got these little grooves that I thought maybe water's supposed to run down them. I'm not really sure. We got these plastic deck boards from a pallet auction guy for $300. He had no idea if they were siding or if they were deck boards or what they were. And to tell you the truth, neither did I. Heck, I still have no idea what they're actually meant for. But they totally work perfectly. Some of them have expanded and contracted, and the screws kind of ripped out like you can see there. That's all right. I just need to come through and screw down a couple of them to re-secure them to the deck frame. The 2x6s under the deck, you see, every spring I go on a rampage where I go and pick up everyone's torn down decks. And I get a lot of free redwood 2x6s out of that. And it's just perfect for me. They're free. People don't want them anymore. And they work perfect. Heck, half the time, they're even painted. These boards were painted with some sort of deck cover material. They last a long time. Same with the Simpson strong ties that are holding the deck joists up. Those were also free, because I'm always on the hunt for free stuff. We got some pressure treated lumber that I made the stairs out of. The posts for the fencing and our posts for these decks were actually from a train engine pallet, which I think is so cool. A humongous, big old, probably diesel engine sat on all of these 4x8s, 4x6s, 12x6s. And now we've got them here in our backyard holding up the fence and holding up our deck. I think that's pretty cool. Chugga chugga choo choo. $300 into the deck material. The fencing panels, most of those were free. These ones that are a little taller were left over from when I did the metal roof on our house. These ones that are shorter were from a mink farm, and we got those for about $800. The mink farm panels also make up our lean-to roof. You can see there are holes in them every so often. And that's because, well, they were part of a mink farm enclosure. And now they make up our roof. How cool is that? And $800 worth of lumber. It features 2x8s and some reclaimed 2x10s. The reclaimed 2x10s were part of a stage that a church made. And they used it once and then gave it to us for free. I spent about $300 in screws for both the deck and the lean-to. And also lag bolts. We've got a 2x12 pressure treated piece attaching our lean-to the shop. These 5 vertical posts run us about $300 from Home Depot. I believe they're 4x6x10. They work perfectly well. I'm really tempted to hang some hammocks between them. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Now the 3-inch drain pipe running from the Airstream is about 40 feet and it ties in way down there. That 45 feet or so of ABS plastic sewer pipe, that was about $300 with all the fitting and the PVC cement glue. The 3/4 inch supply line, which also ran about 45 feet, was about $200. And that's mostly in shark bite fittings that I use to connect everything together. I'm a sucker for a shark bite fitting. It's just too easy to take them off and reconfigure them and put them back on. And I feel like they're just really high quality and easy to work with. That $200 for that 3/4 inch PEX line also includes a wire heater that we plug into the shop, and it runs the entire 45 feet to the Airstream outside. That keeps it from freezing. It's just a 110 volt, plugs right into a normal outlet, and has a light on it to let us know it's working. And it has a little thermostat at the very tip of it. That thermostat tells it when it's below freezing, and it heats up the line, which heats up the PEX piping and keeps our water from freezing. This vinyl gate right here at our entryway was $150 used. It came with these hinges, and I spent another $20 on this latch. It's really stout and has held up great so far. Over here, I plumbed in a hose recently, and I just ran the PEX up to here. I'll shut this off during the winter so that doesn't freeze up. All these shark bite fittings were about $50 to set this up. It works great. Can't you see? I water our pine trees all the time. I had high hopes that maybe they'd make a comeback during the spring. I don't think so. Okay, we're back behind the Airstream, and I'm not sure why I'm whispering, but this breaker panel box was $150 on Amazon. We're gonna include it in the cost, even though I left a review and said everything was loose inside, which is really dangerous and could have started a fire, so I had to tighten everything up. And the breakers are kind of trash. But it totally works, and Amazon refunded me the $150. And that's it for all the outside stuff. Just under $3,000 to make this area. Now it's time to talk about the Airstream costs. I already shared how I got this Airstream on Copart, the auction site. We spent $4,050 on this Airstream. We spent another $2,000 getting it here from Mobile, Alabama, and that includes some of the Copart fees. This is the mini split outdoor unit. It's pretty easy to set up. I've done a lot of these mini splits over the last 5 years or so on various tiny homes, as well as on our garage. For the line set to reach to the indoor unit, I did have to cut a hole right there. The mini split's controlled with this remote. This doubles as the thermostat. If you click a certain button that says I feel, it'll follow you around. So I feel 57 degrees, and it's set to 67. If I brought this into the bathroom and I said, I feel, and it was cold during winter, the mini split would keep going until it reached 67 degrees, clear over in the bathroom. So that's kind of a cool feature of a lot of these mini splits. I haven't seen one that doesn't have this as the thermostat. But if you don't want to use this as the thermostat, during the nighttime, you can just blast it right on you. The unit itself acts as the thermostat as well, if you don't want to use that remote feature. I've really got it cooking in here before. It gets pretty hot during the winter, and it gets pretty cold during the summer. But on those below freezing days, it just takes the edge off. And I think a bigger unit would have fit. The 24,000 BTU units aren't a whole lot bigger than the 12,000. The outside unit sure is, but the inside unit, it would totally fit. The outdoor unit, it'd probably still fit on the tongue, but it'd be pretty freaking honker. There's nothing else like laying down in bed and blasting the heater or the AC. It feels so nice. That's the mini split. It was $650 on Amazon. It comes with the Freon pre-charged in the outdoor unit. You just have to release it once you hook up the line set from the outdoor unit to the indoor unit. It comes with everything you need. It's a pretty good deal, I think. Now, the areas of subfloor that we patched, such as right as you walk in these front corners, and the entire bathroom, costs about $200 in plywood just to patch up the subfloor. The bed frame and the mattress were free. The primer and the paint for the walls, as well as for the cabinets that we got, were about $250. That's a lot, but the VHB primer was well worth it. It's really durable. The kitchen cabinets, well, those were just cabinets that someone wanted to get rid of. They were free. I cut out the backs of them to conform to the wheel well. Lots of space. Again, more packages, trash and recycling. That one's fake. That one's not. Now the sink here was originally $200. But when I got it, I noticed that the edges were cut. It was meant to be an undermount sink. And so I understood that, but I messaged Amazon anyway. And I said, hey, in the listing description, these edges are rounded. And in my application, I've got it mounted above the countertop. And I showed them pictures of it cut on all four corners. And you know what Amazon did? They refunded me for the sink. I couldn't believe it. So the sink was free. It came with this nice little drying rack. This rack down here. And this awesome little sink strain that has hair in it. So I'm actually not going to include the sink in our final cost breakdown total, because it was free after all. And I think you could pick up a free sink similar to this one if you really looked for one. This faucet was $100 on Amazon. It's an awesome faucet. That's it. Not too much to say about a faucet. I don't know. All these cabinet pulls were actually free, which is awesome. Another pallet auction score. I put them on everything. They match the aluminum of the Airstream trailer, which is kind of cool. The paint for the cabinets, I just remembered it was actually another $50 because it was this special black paint. Joanna Gaines' favorite black color. We were fans of the show. What can I say? The countertop was $100 from IKEA. It's just a big old solid island piece. That's right. It's a lot deeper than your standard 2-foot countertop. It goes way back there. But I really wanted it to line up with these walls. We bought the island one because it was so deep. It looks like marble, but it's really pretty much cardboard covered in vinyl. You gotta love IKEA. The induction stove was about $120 off, you guessed it, Amazon. It works really great, and it's cool to the touch, which I think is really neat, because it actually heats up the pan. Induction stoves are weird, and I didn't know how they worked until we got this one. The TV stand, or whatever you want to call it, was actually $85 secondhand from someone who was moving. I think it's really nice. I think it's the perfect place to put plants. Now, usually these TV stands are about $300 new, so $85 was kind of a good deal. Even though at the time I thought, dang, that's quite a bit. If I could have got one for free, I would have, you know what I'm saying? Now moving on to the bathroom. This vanity was $50 from a pallet auction guy. It was brand new. Came with the P-trap and the faucet. And look at this. It's totally a little baby sink. It's about the smallest vanity I've ever seen in my whole life. I hung it up on these little L brackets, and it's held on pretty good. On the top here, I ran some bolts through some pegs. It's been perfect. It doesn't weigh a whole lot, but it's really cool. It has a little bit of extra storage for your yellow towels. It's also soft close. That'd be 120 bucks off of Amazon, but we'll call it 50 bucks because that's what we bought it for. The toilet was only $120 brand new from Home Depot. I love the buttons that dictate whether you do a little bit of a flush or a lot of bit of a flush, you know what I'm saying. The residential size toilet was just something that I felt so passionately about, which sounds weird. Okay, it's not like I'm very passionate about a toilet, but it's one of those comforts that I just think was totally worth it. This 32 by 32 fiberglass shower pan was $90 secondhand. Another great deal. If we hadn't got it for 90 bucks, it would have cost us about $250. The rainfall shower head that also came with that and that, as well as the shower rod, they ran about $100. And that's because we get them on Amazon where it says used like new. Most of the time it's just been opened and returned, or it's not in the original packaging. In our case, this little guy right here was bent pretty severely. You can hardly tell that I just bent it back out, and it's held up ever since. If I hadn't got this for 100 bucks, it would have cost maybe, 150. For the shower framing, we used reclaimed 2x4 and 2x6. Again, just from pallets and old decks. The shower surround material, as well as the adhesive caulk, which we just used the really high bond liquid nails, and the caulk that seals bathrooms, that was only about $100 from Home Depot. What a steal. We also used the caulk in the corners, as well as around the bottom of the pan. Now, the plumbing drains in the entire Airstream ran us $200. That's the ABS drain with a P-trap shooting from the sink, right here from the washer dryer, the shower pan with the P-trap shooting under, as well as the toilet that goes into that 3-inch pipe that goes to city. Now the shark bite fittings, as well as the PEX, hot and cold, red being hot, blue being cold, that was 300 bucks. The PEX lines, as well as all the shark bite fittings. There's the hot and cold to the washer dryer, the line running up to the shower head. Boy, was this a doozy to fabricate, but it's held up good. The hot and cold to the shower, the hot and cold to the vanity, and the cold to the toilet. This bad boy right here was 400 bucks. It's a Rheem 10-gallon hot water heater. Oh yeah, the cold going to the hot water heater and the hot coming off of it. I almost forgot. This runs off 110 volts. 400 bucks doesn't seem that bad to me for a 10-gallon water heater. 10 gallons gets 2 people a pretty good shower. That was the biggest hot water heater I could fit in that closet. And if it didn't go there, well, I don't know where else it would go. Now the electrical GFCI outlets, as well as all the other regular outlets that we replaced in here, those were all free. You see, we went to a house that was about to be demoed in Salt Lake City. And the person that was demoing it said, go tear out everything you'd want. So we got a bunch of stuff, including all these outlets. So admittedly, that would be a cost that you'd have to cover. But for us, they were all free. Now I don't know if that's something that you'd have to do per se. The other outlets were okay. They were just kind of dated, like the rounder ones. And I really like the look of these modern square ones. But I see the GFCI as a huge upgrade, especially if you plugged in a blender and it tripped. You'd only have to press the button and know that you have too many things plugged in at once. I love GFCI outlets for safety, and this Airstream did not have them before. You know what wasn't free? This dimmer switch right here. It's a smart dimmer switch too. I had first put in a dimmer switch from Amazon, and that thing blew up. It was crazy. It could have started a fire. So I went to Home Depot and picked up a nice one. Heck, it was 80 bucks. Again, I really like this dimmer switch. You can set it to kind of however bright or dim you want. I also really like how when you press it, it dims dark. And when you press it on, it slowly gets lighter. I think that's a neat feature, and I think it was worth the $80 we spent on it. The bathroom switch was free. Now these puck lights were about $80 for what you see here. And they're pretty cool. They just shove up into the ceiling. They're spring loaded and they just kind of poke up there and trap themselves into the ceiling. I love them and they're dimmable and they're cheap. $80, you can't beat it. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one's under the kitchen. And 6. That one in the bathroom. Now these sconce lights we got were $50, $25 each. They're adjustable, and I think they look really nice. They're controlled by this little switch, which is really fun to turn on and off. I get a kick out of it every time I come in. The one in the bathroom adds some ambiance. The Romex wire that we ran to the mini split, and we used throughout where we need to add switches, for example, like this bathroom switch. Those all totaled about $100. Now we got a humongous roll because we were working on some other projects at the same time. Some 10-12, some 14-12. We bought different sizes and I've used a bunch of it. And so it's not really fair, but you can buy smaller amounts. I'm guessing it was about $100 worth of Romex that we used between the 10-2 and the 14-2, being the thickness of wire. The 10-2 is the orange stuff, and that's what we used for the mini split. And the 14-2 is the white stuff, and that's just for lights and stuff. The fridge freezer is awesome. This is a 7.3 cubic foot fridge freezer. 7.3. Just like the diesel truck. These are $330, and you can find them at Home Depot. Now check out this flooring. Oh, the flooring is actually, we got it for a really good deal. Whenever I buy flooring, I go to a floor installer or a big flooring place, and I call them up and I say, hey, do you have any remnants left that are discontinued? And they go, of course we do. We have a whole warehouse full of them, and we need to get rid of them because we're hoarding a bunch of, pallets of like 400, 500, 200 square feet. 1,200. I've gotten up to 1,500 to 2,000 square feet of extra flooring that they don't produce anymore. And so we get out a really good deal because it's not something that they're going to use unless they have some weird odd job. And most of the time they need to clear their warehouse anyway. So this is luxury vinyl plank flooring. LPV. It's really durable. It's got an attached underlayment to it, which is a little pad. And I can't believe it. It has not gapped open or crumpled up on me. Usually you get gaps right about here where it'll start to separate. Or you'll have it start bowing up and smashing together like that. But this stuff has been perfect. I don't know why. I even went to Home Depot and got a little matching entry strip right there just to finish that off. And one of my favorite things about this build is I discovered this super cool stuff. It's a sticky, that's gross. It's a sticky baseboard. This is like made out of some rubber and you just kind of stick it on and it's got a lip to it that conforms and fits into the floor. I used this stuff all over the place. I even used it down here to hide the pecs, and it's freaking ugly. And I used rivets. I'm pretty sure that's when I was wrapping up the project and I went to heck with it. I'm done with this, and I got kind of tired of it. And I was cutting it up. I was being rough with it, and it looks pretty bad. But it's a finish, and it kind of protects the pecs. I don't know, I disappoint myself. I just disappoint myself sometimes. That's okay. The flooring manufacturer hooked it up at $1 a square foot. And with 200 square feet in this trailer, we got a little extra to spare. That was $200 for all the flooring. This luxury vinyl plank, instead of $1 a square foot, would have been more like $9 a square foot. How do we not call the place and ask them if they had any remnant that was discontinued? And if you want to get a good deal on flooring, I highly suggest you call your local flooring installer and ask them, do you have any pallets of flooring laying around that are discontinued? And I'll bet you they're more than likely to sell it to you for dirt cheap. This washer dryer combo was $350 secondhand. Believe it or not, that's a lot cheaper than it would have been new. And it makes a really cool sound when you start it up and stop it. That was pretty hard to find. It was actually used for about a year by someone who was renting an apartment and wanted to have their own personal washer dryer combo in there. So $350 was a pretty good deal. Now again, just like the mini split and the water heater, this washer dryer combo runs off 110 volts. So you literally just plug it in way down there. It's plugged in. On the inside and outside of this Airstream, it's made out of aluminum, and you betcha we had to patch quite a few spots. For example, we patched where the vents used to be. Down there, right here, and right here. As well as a lot of weird spots that had things like vents. For example, this little guy. Something was there, I don't remember what. Behind the toilet, which we cut up anyway. That's where the original water heater went to the outside of the Airstream. Lots and lots of patches. Inside and out. Here are two right here. I couldn't tell you what they were, but they were easy enough to make, drill holes in, and rivet together. That's a big patch. That's a little patch. Now, this is super cheesy, but my favorite patch is this one. It's so cheesy, bear with me. This is the state of Utah, and it's above the sconce light that's in front of our entrance. It's the state of Utah, and I cut it in this shape. I think the hole was about this big. And I just wanted to have fun with it, so I cut it in the shape of Utah, and then I grinded down. I filed down a little rivet to make a little heart, and that's about where we're at in Utah. I don't know. I think it's kind of cool. It's kind of cheesy, and that's okay. Hey, there's another patch. They're all over the place. They're taking over. Run for your life. Here's another. Here's another. Here's another. For all those patches, it was about $120 in really thin aluminum sheet from Home Depot, as well as all the rivets. Rivets aren't really that bad. At first, when I started this project, I was really intimidated about using rivets, but they're really not that bad. You drill a hole, you put the rivet in, and it mushrooms from the other side and squeezes the panels together. It's really pretty neat. $9,845 to build this entire Airstream, including the cost of a pretty decent shell and some good insides. Was it worth it? You tell me in the comments. Would you live in here? You tell me in the comments. What would you change differently? The only three things I would really change: bigger mini split, sofa bed that you could put away during the day to have more space to entertain and whatnot. And I think that's it. Every comment, every subscriber, and every single thumbs up in a video really just makes my day. I'd really appreciate it if you took the time to do that. But either way, I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're doing well and that, you just have the greatest weekend possible, the greatest rest of your day that you can possibly have, and good luck with your project. See ya.